in child protective services, and they won't give them back to their loving families because they're making money.
This is a legal system that you're going into. And if you don't know the rules, you will be chewed up and spit out.
If I could say anything to a mother who just got their children detained, you're in a crisis. Life feels like it's over. The most important thing is regaining custody of your children.
The child welfare system at its core is designed to protect children who need protection. Okay, and that's key, is who need protection.
So social workers, out of fear, will remove more children rather than only remove those children that truly need to be removed.
It's okay. It's okay.
This isn't someone stole your car. Someone broke into your house. This someone took your child, your flesh and blood.
It doesn't say on this order that it was not proven. It says untrue. I immediately knew that, okay, well, this ain't over.
Were there signs there? Were there no signs? Did I miss them? Did I catch them? At this point, I honestly don't know.
Families only get a finite amount of time to reunify.
I came into this field to help families, not destroy them.
The difference between the criminal system and the child welfare system is substantial. You have more rights as a criminal than you do as a parent.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Georgette Truan. I am the co-host for Fight CPS with Ms. G, and I also work for the law office of Ms. W. Davis. My guest today is Mr. Art Bustamante.
Good morning.
Hi, Art. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Go ahead, Art. I would like you to introduce yourself, please.
Well, I am a licensed private investigator out of the lovely state of California. I have approximately, in 2023, it'll be 20 years of experience in criminal investigations. And within those 20 years, I've seen a lot of crazy things. And, your show has showcased many of these issues with CPS. The beginning of your show runs that video, and I watched many of your shows. That video, every single time, it kind of just, it gets to me every time because I see it. I investigate these things, and helping parents, whether it's with reunification or whether it is doing an investigation or monitoring the monitors. It's helping other people is probably one of the best things that I do.
And I actually heard a lot of good feedback with cases that you worked on. Actually, people called me and mentioned your name a couple of times as well. And I believe that you did. I cannot mention the client's name. You've done. You monitored the monitor.
Yes, a lot of times you have parents that, or a guardian that needs to be looked at. Even when they're not being monitored, the parents are concerned that the other side is actually doing something that's inappropriate. So I go out and I do that too.
Yeah. And actually I had one of our clients also disclose to me that you found information about, I guess, some foster home, like a foster home person that was the foster parent. I'm not sure what she meant by that, but you were investigating the foster parents?
Yeah, a lot of times the foster parents that are supposed to be taking care of these children are not. And that's unfortunate. I've seen many cases, and I've worked on many cases where the foster parents are very neglectful, where they leave the children that are supposed to be watched and cared for,
Right.
and they go out and they're out with their friends, or they're out even shopping, and they're the only ones watching the children.
Mhm.
And whether they're away for 5 minutes or 5 hours, they're still being neglectful. They're still not watching and monitoring.
Right. Right. And that's unfortunate. That happens everywhere. I actually want to read something for the audience here that's watching my show, which I try to do every week. Art, if you can just give me a minute.
Of course.
This is the California legislative information regarding recording the Child Protective Services. A parent or a legal guardian may make a video or audio recording of his or her interview or interaction with a county child protective services social worker who is investigating allegation of parental abuse or neglect. The legislature finds and declares that nothing in existing law prevent a parent or legal guardian from making a video or audio recording of his or her interview or interaction with a county child protective services social worker. A county child protective services social worker participation in investigation of parental abuse or neglect shall be deemed consent to video or audio recording pursuant to subdivision A. A county child protective services social worker assigned to a role performing duties that include assuming the custody of children or conducting interviews of a child or his or her parent in order to investigate allegation of parental abuse or neglect shall provide notification to a parent or a legal guardian undergo an investigation of parental abuse or neglect in writing that the parent or legal guardian may make a video or audio recording of his or her interview or interaction with a county child protective services social worker. A copy of the written notification shall be signed by the parent or legal guardian and returned to the County Child Protective Services social worker to acknowledge receipt of written notification. The reason I read this, because oftentimes people tell me that the worker says, oh, we have to bring the video down. If they have like a hidden camera or, surveillance camera in the home,
Right.
they are forced to bring the camera down, or shut the camera off.
Right.
And I actually did my research on that, and one of the parents that follow me on the show shared this information with me when I was discussing it with her one day, and she brought it up, and she actually shared it with me, and I realized that the workers don't want to be recorded. They don't want to be caught of
No.
what they're doing or what they're saying, because oftentimes they're actually all the time they're lying. They're actually lying.
Right.
And when I watched a video art the other day, and I actually shared it also to the public to watch, it was a social worker attorney. She was talking to 3 federal judges defending the fact that the workers can lie to the state
Wow.
to take children from parents. And 3 federal judges, this is all over YouTube. 3 federal judges looked at her like, what? Like, what are you, like, they couldn't believe that she actually said that.
Right. And
So they do lie.
They do. And it's unfortunate. And we see it every day. You see it in your office. I see it in my office. We hear about these stories, and they're ongoing. It's like they're never going to stop with these stories of corruption and lying.
Right.
And it's unfortunate that, we have to be here doing this to help people, because there's so many people stuck in the system right now because they're just shaking their head like, how did this happen?
Right.
And they don't understand why. And they're confused and they're scared because of what's being reported about them. And they can't understand that a system they could get lost in it so easily without people watching and without people helping, like you and, your office. But the thing is that you had mentioned, video cameras and recordings in your own home, or where you're dealing with a monitor or CPS.
Right.
And you just read that you can record, and it is your right to record, and you need to record everything, every interaction.
And the thing about it is, why are they so adamant about it not recording? Think about it. A criminal doesn't want to get caught. So why, if you're doing the right thing, like you say you are, why are you objecting to recording? If I go to your house, Art, and I'm investigating you,
right,
and you tell, and I see a camera, what would you do if I say bring the camera down? I mean, turn off the camera.
Turn off the camera. No, that stays on. It's for my
Exactly.
protection and for the CPS protection as well. You know,
Really?
because it
They don't
yeah.
need protection, Art.
That's true. That's true. But what I'm saying is that it protects everybody from what things are being said. And, you know, as the parent or the guardian of these children under monitoring, you know, you need to have proof, and you can record in
Right.
any situation. Even the very first moment you have an investigator, a CPS investigator knocking on your door, and you're like, okay, it's 9 o'clock at night. Who's the hell's knocking on my door? You open the door, and there they are. They present their
Right.
ID. It's just them usually. And you're never let them in, number one, you know,
Yeah.
unless there's a warrant and a signed, you know, warrant by a judge. You can be nice to them, but never let them in your house. You need to seek an attorney first. You know, you don't have to be rude. You know, don't scream at them or throw water at them or do anything crazy, but be firm and, you know, understand that you have rights. You know, most of the people here that watch your show, all the people that watch your show are usually stuck in a system already. You know, but it's also good to let them know you need to get an attorney first. You need help. You can't just try and run this show by yourself. You need guidance in everything you do.
Oh my God, it's endless. I was reading an article that I would like to share with everyone. Art, I don't know if you even know
Please.
about this or not, but I actually, it's disgusting. So, anyways, first of all, let me just add and say that CPS loves abusers. They do. They love abusers. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Heather Greger, she's a foster mother, and John Griffin was a CNN producer. You know, CNN, right? Very well known. He
Yeah.
was the producer. John Griffin and Heather Greger, Gara, oh my God, I can't pronounce
Garager, maybe.
character. Heather character was a foster parent, and she was in relationship with John Griffin, who was the producer for CNN. They used a 9-year-old foster child that Heather had for sex trafficking. The mother found out, and she reported it to the Fed, to FBI. The FBI 2 years to convict this guy. 2 years. This woman, I mean, it's disgusting. And the mother raised concern. And all of her concern was about sex trafficking the child and what have you. She just felt it. A mother's love and connection to her children, it doesn't matter if they're miles away from her.
Right.
There's something the mother's DNA stays in the child, the child's DNA stays in the mother for the rest of her life.
There's a connection.
There's a connection.
Undoubtedly.
So John Griffin, who was the producer for CNN, was having sex with 9-year-old. That was foster children.
I heard about it. Yeah.
Children. It's disgusting.
It's
disgusting.
It's
CNN,
incredible.
People called CNN to investigate cases against CPS.
Right.
People called the news media to investigate cases against CPS.
Yeah.
And the producer himself is screwing a 9-year-old foster child and trafficking her. You know?
Yeah. It's horrifying to think as a parent. Even if you're not a parent, it's horrifying to think. When stories like that come out, it's almost like you can't believe it because you don't want to think things like that happen. You don't want to think those things.
Right.
Because you think of your own child, whether your child is 4 right now, 9, or an adult. As a parent, you go back to this protective mode. And like you said, there's this connection, there's this bond. You always want your children to be protected no matter what. And when they're in the foster system and you hear of this abuse, you hear of these allegations by somebody who's been entrusted with your child while you're dealing with these allegations yourself, that's horrifying. I can't even imagine. It gives you chills when you think about stuff like that.
It gives you chills. And oftentimes people don't understand it's deeper than people think. You know, people think, oh yeah, we were good parents. We have the right to our children. I'm beginning, I used to think that you really don't have rights to your children. But we should. That's
Unfortunately,
our
yeah.
rights to have
That's
rights to our children. But we really don't, because CPS set rules in place to violate our rights. And that's how this entity gets away with everything, because they have immunity, and this much power is given to a social worker who barely graduated high school. Is disgusting.
yeah.
It's really disgusting.
It's amazing too. There was a story that came out yesterday, and I caught it on the news, and I
Yeah.
looked it up, and it was pretty well known. Would you mind if I read a little bit of it?
Of course. No, go ahead.
Okay, so this was on out here in California. We have ABC7. It's a Channel 7 news broadcast, and it was broadcast all day long, from morning all the way to end. And most people recognize this. And when I heard it on the TV, it kind of caught my ears, because I remember this case that happened. This happened. Let's see, the mother of a 17-year-old girl who was allegedly murdered while in foster care home is furious that the woman accused of killing her is now out of jail, having her bail significantly reduced. And when you said I'll read on a little more, but you had mentioned that, they're not looking at the children in a protective way. They're just an object right now to move through a system. And the foster system is there. You would hope that it's there to take care of your children. Like I said, while you're dealing with these legal issues that you're having, whether they're legitimate or not. These are your children. Okay. And one of the things that the mom said, let's see, Angel Ramirez, it says, how is it that society all of a sudden cares more for the person who killed my daughter?
Yeah.
And speaking about the woman, the defendant, she's 80 years old and she's out of La Crescenta. I don't understand, if I committed murder or someone else did, I would be guaranteed to be put in jail forever. What happened was this young, well, not younger, she was 17, and she was in a foster system. I don't want to really give the name of the foster system or the family whose home she was in, but there was severe neglect. And the girl was the 17-year-old that died. This happened a few years ago. The 17-year-old that died, she was special needs. She was kind of in a wheelchair, and she wasn't being taken care of. And she died due to, basically, she was suffocating on her own vomit and stuff like that. It was just, she wasn't cleaned up. And the mother had reported during visits, the mother of this child, before she passed, there was bruises on her. She's wheelchair bound. How is she having bruises on her? Even if they're just taking care of her, washing her and things like this, all these bruises. And she reported it to an investigator within the system, the child welfare system. They went and investigated, and they saw the bruises. And so they reported back to the mom. So finally they did one thing right, but they're saying, she asked, what can I do? What can be done? They said, well, these things take time. They go, okay, well, can we remove her from that foster system? If you see it, I see it. What can we do? He goes, well, we filed a report. Yes, we see that there is cause for concern. We see that. We understand you. Nothing had happened. Almost 9 months to a year later, her child ends up dead. The woman, the foster woman, okay, then this 90-year-old woman, was taken into custody and charged. Now, she's out today, or she was released yesterday while she's still in jail waiting for her court date, which is probably at the end of the year or something like that. It's already been a year and a half, almost 2 years. She's in the system, this foster woman. They released her because she was on $1 million bail. She's like, I can't afford that, so I'm going to sit in court until my court date. They released her because they reduced her bail down to $50,000, which means you only pay a small percentage of that. And now she's out, probably back at home. She's still going to be presented for these charges, but she should be in jail from the moment she was arrested and not released until her court date. But because the system now actually looks at her rights, well, you know what? She's not a threat anymore. Why? Let's release her even sooner than let's lower that bail, because we don't want to keep her bail at $1 million for the simple fact that she can't afford it.
My God.
That's amazing to me. That is truly amazing to me, how our state can do that. And yet The poor child was still in that foster home for over a year, while the investigators at CPS said, well, no, we understand what you're saying. We see the bruises. We're going to investigate it. It takes time. The mom had been screaming for 9 to 10 months. I want my child out of there. I want my child out of there. Because the mom was legitimately having issues. She became homeless. She lost her job. She had some substance abuse problems, which, okay, that does happen. But when the child is in danger, and she knew it, she could feel it, and she wanted, and she could see during visits that the child was hurting, was bruised, the system still didn't stop it or remove that child. I know that's another issue, but it's all encompassing what happens with child protective services, and people like you and your office and me, we all try and help the system as much as possible, or bring light to it at least. And there have been people that have left the system itself, directors, board of directors in different states and different areas. They're all leaving because it seems to all be kind of pressuring down and coming down on them, really hard because of what you're doing.
Crooked. They're crooked.
Yeah, they don't want their books leaving. Looked into.
Yeah, they're crooked. I mean, look at this guy. This is a DCFS director held in contempt of court for violating rights of children and faces $2,000 a day fine. This mother F should face $1 million a day fine, not $2,000 a day fine. This is just January 7, 2022. This was like a couple of days ago. The same thing with Los Angeles County. I mean, they're all corrupt. They're all corrupt. I mean,
yeah.
They're corrupt.
There was an agenda.
Yeah, it's disgusting. They're all in on it. I mean, it goes. I'm going to share this story with you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Last night, I was talking to two parents. Well, I was talking to 100,000 parents, but it seems like I know, Art. We and I were talking. I was busy. So busy, and two mothers shared their story, and they were similar. And one mother had hidden cameras, nanny cameras, in like radios, and she became really high-tech savvy when her two boys were being abused, right, by the father, by the way. So the father makes a lot of money. The mother was a stay-at-home mom, and she, when as the boys were getting older, she noticed the father is beating them, like with the buckle, the belt buckle.
Yeah.
And their skin and all that. She reported him. Nothing happened to him. It happened to her. She showed the social workers the audio. The husband was being investigated by the police. And the social workers took the children from her and gave the children to him, to the husband, who was on camera beating her children.
You shake your head because you don't know. You don't know. How is it possible? Yeah, I know it's confusing and mind blowing. But like you said, there's agendas. Every political system, every person within that system, they're following rules and regulations set by people that have an agenda.
Right.
And I don't want to say it's this person's fault, it's that person's fault, because as CPS workers, you want to be able to do a good job. And we've heard time and time again by former workers within the system that they wanted to come into this to help.
Yep.
And now you're stuck in a system where you have to follow their rules. You have to make up certain stories to help the foster system get people in. I mean, I've heard of stories where there's a woman that, has 9 foster kids, and it's just her. And she's fostering these kids, and she's going to get a 10th one. She gets them every year because it brings in money. She doesn't work, but she lives off the money that she makes from each one of these children. Yep. Now, she provides a home. Each year she gets a new house. She moves and gets more kids. She has a nice big car and a car for herself. And she does her salon days and stuff like that. And these are reports that we hear. And when I investigate and I actually see these kind of things that happen, and this is exactly, and it's true, I'm like, wow. Most people are amazed that this actually happens until you see it firsthand.
Yeah. And some people don't believe. Oftentimes people say, well, your child was taken because of a reason. No, you idiots. No.
Not always. Man, if it was that easy.
No, I hate it when people say that. There's actually an attorney. I'm not going to say her name. I don't like her at all. She actually judges women who kids are taken from
Mm-hmm.
them. And she's a family law attorney in Los Angeles, California.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the opportunity to speak with her about December of 2021. And she's not a good person. And I wish to God I could say her name, but I can't.
Right.
However, she actually faults women whose children are taken from them.
Oh man.
And when they have to go to family law to defend themselves again,
Mm-hmm.
when the CPS case is closed, she actually said to me, this attorney said to me, I would never help them because there was a reason why their kids were taken from them.
Mm-hmm.
And in my heart, and God forgive me, I wish that her children are taken from her but I doubt it because she's an attorney. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like I hate it when people judge others. You
Mm-hmm.
should never judge others because you don't know. The system is so corrupt.
Yeah.
They're taken from innocent moms, not from guilty mothers. They stay with the abuser. And that's why I mentioned CPS loves abusers. They do love abusers.
Yeah.
Because that father that beat up his two boys with
Yeah.
evidence, freaking evidence.
Yeah. What do you do? What are you supposed to believe if there's evidence like that and you see
Mhm.
it in real life? You see the corruption. You see issues where you have people that, and that's why I exist. Most of my work has to deal with monitoring, has to deal with surveillance,
Right.
whether it's following the husband, following the wife. But in my case, over the last 4 years now, it's
Uh-huh.
following the guardians, following the foster families, following the parent that is accused of leaving their 4-year-old at home at 2 o'clock in the afternoon,
Right.
going out and drinking with his friends, and then coming back at 6 o'clock, and he's the only one in that house. And when he's coming back to a dark house, and I can see that in my video, as
Yeah.
he comes home, the outside lights aren't on, the inside lights aren't on, and I know for a fact that there's a child in that house. It's
Yeah.
been left there for 4 or 5 hours.
Mhm.
Now he's in the dark. He's 4.
Yep.
And he is either the foster person or he's the guardian or whatever. It doesn't matter. You have a responsibility, but they don't care. They just don't. Some
No.
do, but the majority of them, as we see, do not. And I investigate these things, and it's horrifying. And each time I shake my head going, oh, please, this can't be right.
Yeah.
But it is, unfortunately. It is.
But you don't
Every
want to
single
believe
time.
it. Yeah, you don't want to believe it. That's why you shake your
You don't
head.
want to believe it, like you said,
Yeah.
because we care about our children. We care
Yeah.
about other people's children. And when you see this kind of situation happening, you're like, oh, dang it. That's
Yeah.
not cool. That's not
Not
good.
cool at all. No.
No.
And the thing about it is that people need to understand is when I say judges are stupid, I really mean it. A lot of people I have people call me every week and they say, Georgette, I love how you speak your mind. And I do speak my mind. I don't care who you are because the definition of stupid is actually seeing evidence like that video, right? The hidden
Yeah.
cam. You see evidence of abuse.
Right.
You hear the truth.
Hmm.
And you still believe a lie that the social workers are saying. Now, what is the judge's job is to, be able to judge fairly according to the person's rights. And the thing about it is they violate everybody's rights.
They take their
Because
rights
they have
away. It's
no
almost like you
rights.
don't have rights. You're correct.
No, you have no rights
Yeah.
in juvenile court. We have a client of ours. She said to me, Georgette, the judge told her to shut the F up in court.
I've
To
seen stuff
shut
like
the
that.
F up. I can't even say the F word on live. At least Mr. Davis doesn't want me to, or, he shakes his head when I speak. Like he knows,
Yeah, right. We're going to have to edit you again.
But damn, I want to say it so badly, but a judge,
Hmm.
right,
Yeah.
would tell a parent to shut the F up. And what I've noticed is that the court reporter would not write it down.
Hmm. Wow.
The one that's typing
Yeah.
would not write that part down. So they choose to write what they want to write.
Right. Yeah.
So how is that? It doesn't make sense. Social workers lie under oath and they get promoted instead of get fired.
Well, they understand early on, and that if
Oh
they,
my
if they
God.
follow the bouncing ball and they do as others are doing rather than what they originally came into it for, to help
Right.
children, to protect children. And there are some legitimate reasons, to get
Right.
into this, and it is to help. It's just like the police officer that gets into police work, and within 2 or 3 years you realize you're not allowed to do what you want to do, obviously, because you have
Right.
rules and procedures. And when you actually think you're doing some good, you get investigated. So you have to follow that bouncing ball. You have to follow what your peers are telling you to do and write what they tell you to write, or you're not going to have that job. And a lot of times and it's just like every other system, you get stuck in it as a worker, and now you're making a livelihood out of it. So you have to do these things because you're getting a paycheck. And you realize you just saw your buddy move into, from just a worker to now a manager, to now, you moving up in the system, and they make good money. So you have to do that. You get caught up in the system, and now you have to follow what everybody says. You have to follow the so-called script, and everybody
Right.
knows what that script is. And the CPS that are listening and all the people that are watching, they know what the script is. They know
They know.
exactly. It's that inner circle that, even Dave, the other investigator you had, talked about the inner circle. Every establishment of industry, government or not, has that.
Yep.
Even my world has that. Your world has that. The legal system, the investigators, we all work off of codes of conduct, procedures, rules, regulations. But within our own little circle, there are some that only we know about. Same thing with the government and CPS. There are certain little circles and areas that we don't know about. We can't get in there.
No, but because it's coming from higher up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's higher up. Goes from the White House,
It trickles down to our governors changing laws to
it's
let people
all
out of jail,
right, to the mayors,
lower bail.
Yeah, there you go. All of them is corrupt. Honestly, there is absolutely no one in the government system that's not corrupt. I really, maybe I'm just gonna speak my mind as usual. I
Of
don't
course.
believe any of them. I don't believe any of them. I really don't, because social workers watch my show. I think I mentioned
Of
that to
course
you
they
a
do.
couple of
Of
times.
course they do. You need to know your enemy.
Yeah, they watch
Keep you
my show.
close.
And I know that when they do call me, they always call me from a block number, because my number is everywhere in social media now.
A block number. It's true.
Yeah, a block
I
number,
know.
unavailable, something unavailable number, whatever. And I'm like answering, and they say, "Hey, Georgette, this is a social worker." They say the state they're in or the county they're in, whatever, but they never mention their name. And what's sad about it is that they tell me that they will continue to take kids. Like, it's like they're putting it in my face.
Right. They're like, you're
They're
not doing any
speaking it to
good.
me. Yeah,
You're
they're
not helping
speaking to me.
people.
Yeah. And the only thing I can do is listen to them. And then I tell them this: I feel honored that you're watching my show. I must be very special to you guys. Kind of like, what do you want me to do with this? Maybe, I must be really special to you guys. I must be a very important person.
Yeah.
You're watching my show. I said, however, you should take time to answer the people's calls that you steal children from. Instead of you calling me, you should invest the time to a parent who's been trying to get a hold of you. And I hang up. Either they hang up first or I hang up. So either way, the call ends.
Yeah.
But that's what they've been doing. And what I realize is they feel threatened because the truth is coming out everywhere now.
Yes. It's spreading, which is great.
It's spreading everywhere. And that, to me, is priceless.
Yeah. Yeah. Because even if one person hears it, or 1,000 people, it gets spread to enough ears, people start looking at things. And that's why we've heard over the last month or so, towards the end of last year, we've seen a lot of CPS directors, child welfare system directors, board of directors, people that were sponsors to these systems, these government systems, where they're gone, they retire. And there was one that
they stepped down.
Right, they stepped down rather, but yet they remove themselves and still keep some of that money coming in. Not always, but for the most part, they step down. And then when they're questioned and interviewed, or people try and ask them questions, they don't know, they don't want to answer. They don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, they're not doing it for their health.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of times the fire gets a little too hot under their desk, and they're like, I need to step down and go back into real estate or whatever, wherever it is they came from.
They're scumbags. They probably came from underground, like, from the hell, from
Right.
hell. That's where they came from. But oftentimes I always question what really happens daily, because if there's a foster parent that there is living reports against them for abuse, right?
Right.
Social workers don't do anything. However, one report made, anybody can make a report against a mom. Anyone.
That's terrible.
Your ex-spouse who doesn't want to pay child support, or his mother, or a neighbor that doesn't like you. Anybody can make a report, and right away they go take children, steal children from the mother instantly. However, when the foster parent is being reported for abuse or neglect, and they see the abuse on the child, they don't remove the children. They don't until maybe a year or two later, or maybe
I don't know why it
5
takes so
years
long.
later. Yeah.
I understand that, everybody's work gets backed up. Your work gets backed up. At the end of this, you're going to have 300 calls waiting, 1,000 emails you got to get to, but you still get to them because it's a concern. If they were so concerned about the children, it wouldn't take a year of investigation after the investigator sees bruises or realizes that the person that is watching your child, whoever it is, while you're going through the system yourself, is abusing that child. And we've heard the horror stories, and it's, I wish I could understand where this is coming from, because we heard, it was about a year or two ago where there was CPS that was called out to this young Hispanic family. And they noticed that, yes, the child wasn't so clean, but for some reason, the CPS worker said, okay, well, I'm going to come back. I want to see your place cleaned up. I want to see the child cleaned up. And that was kind of okay right there, because usually they come in, they just take that kid. For whatever reason, the child wasn't removed because they didn't deem the child in immediate danger. Okay, so they left, came back a month later, child's cleaned, but didn't realize that the child was being abused already at this point for years. Child was, I think, about 10 years old. 2 years later, or a year later, they're called again. CPS comes out and says, look, we're getting reports that, your child is screaming all night. We're getting reports from your neighbors that we see the kid running around in dirty diapers, even though he's 10. Why is he in diapers? Anyways.
10-year-old in diapers?
Yeah, a 10-year-old. And he's not special needs. They just put one on him because they're tired of trying to get him to go to the bathroom, and he's peeing all over the place. So they put a diaper on him. So whenever he comes home from school, they stick a diaper on him. Anyways, the child was abused to the point where he was killed by the father, the stepfather, and the mom watched. So they were both arrested and convicted. Now, this was nationwide. I don't understand within 2 years of the CPS worker, and they did notice that there was some bruising. They did notice and hear all these stories. Something like that. How does that happen to where that child is not removed instantly, but yet some parents that are just great parents doing the best that they can, no abuse whatsoever, and we see these stories, I investigate these stories, and those children are taken away from a perfect household and put in a system. I don't understand how it is so backwards. I really don't.
Because they don't steal damaged kids.
It is amazing, and it's true. Yes, I know what you're saying.
Kids because
but it's mind-boggling how it could be that
Yeah.
it could be that corrupt.
Yeah, that is corrupt. And we have another case. Actually, the two boys lived in Beverly Hills with their mom. They went to Beverly Hills school.
Right.
And one of the boys was acting up, I guess age 14, I'm not sure. But I think she said he was age 14 from what I remember. And she called the school teacher.
Right.
I mean, therapist, sorry. And said to her, she said, my son has been acting up. It's a teenage year. He's kind of like going through the teenage motion. We all go through it, right?
Right.
And then that therapist reported it to CPS. CPS came, took the child, put the child in Inglewood, in the hood, somewhere in the hood, a group home where they do drugs, they do this. The child was an A student. He was extremely smart. and they put a child in a group home where they've done drugs, kids who were drug users and all this and all that.
Man.
One of the kids kept giving him drugs. The child died in the CPS custody.
I wish
The
these were made
mother
up stories.
has no record, by the way. No record, no criminal record, no drug history,
Yeah.
outstanding. She's nothing because she's
Yeah.
spotless clean. And she never understood why they stole her child. She just concerned moms told the therapist, hey, can you kind of talk to him a little bit? Tell him, hey, you know, it's okay to be a teenager sometimes. Kind of like there was nothing wrong with the child. But you know what's so sad? They gave her the other child when that child died in the CPS custody.
Jeez.
Because when they remove one kid, they remove the other.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm talking about, Art? It's kind of like, now you feel, here you go, mom. You're a good mom now because we killed your child. Here's the other one.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're a good mom.
Yeah, you're a good mom now because the other child died in our custody.
Yeah, so sorry.
Because we were so
Here's your other
greedy
child.
making money off of your
Yeah.
child. And here you go. How do you take a kid from Beverly Hills, put him in the hood where he understands nothing about the hood?
And it's like that all over. You're taking and whether it is Beverly Hills or whether you're taking from Inglewood
Come on,
and put down into Long
seriously.
Beach. Yeah, it's you're removing a child
You're
from
stealing a child.
stealing a child
Yeah.
from their family that hasn't done anything wrong. Now, we understand and we see it in our industry, abusive parents, where they need to have those children removed. There's plenty of them. Honestly, there's plenty of really bad parents. I've investigated them. You've seen them. Take those kids. They need to be out of those homes, please. But
what did I just say? CPS loves abusers.
I know, but this is the perfect world that I wish. Well, you know, if it was a perfect world, we wouldn't have jobs. So, you know, if people were honest, we wouldn't have jobs. You know, and we would be working probably in somewhere else. But our hope and my hope is that the system somehow starts to change, not just person by person, but as an industry. And when we see people leaving board of directors, just people within the system, you're like, it's either collapsing internally or people like you and us, we're making a dent. No matter how small, we got little hammers, but you know what? You hit something hard enough, it's going to start to fracture. And I think that's what's happening. You apply pressure to these people. You apply pressure to the workers. So even starting at the bottom and working up, each one will start to crack under pressure. It's just, it has to be continuous. It's exhausting. You know, with your 15-hour days and my 12-hour days, I don't work that long. I work 10 hours maybe. You know, I have other people doing a lot more work than me.
You said my 15-hour days.
Your 15-hour days.
True. You're absolutely, actually,
I know your days.
17 hours. I know.
I know your days. They're intense. My gosh, there's, you know, I would say I'm amazed at how many people I see that actually try to get a hold of you. But I also see them coming through my office of people that need help and monitoring. And it's astounding. It's hundreds of people a day. Hundreds of people. Hundreds. It's you have, I guarantee you by the time you're done with this broadcast, the normal, we'll say 180 people that would have tried to get a hold of you within 60 minutes, it's now going to double. And it happens every time you do your show. It reaches a certain amount of people because people will view this later on when they're not at work, later on in the afternoon, tonight, and you see all the views that start to pop up on your show. And it's amazing how many people, like tomorrow, I'll be in contact with you and you'll tell me, oh my gosh, I just had 600 people and 1,200 emails from just the show alone.
Yep.
And I've seen it, and it's amazing how many people are stuck in the system or need help or don't know where to go or don't know what to do. You know,
and there's a lot of people.
The fact that you're doing this show reaches so many people, and not even here in California, across the nation. You have people from Michigan, Denver saying, I need somebody in Denver to help me. Who can you recommend? I need an investigator. It's amazing how many people need help. They just don't know. They get stuck because they were good parents. And now my kids are gone. What the heck do I do?
But it's not just
People
the
to call.
kids gone, Art. Their job is gone, their kids is gone, their home is gone, because
Everything.
they lose their job. First they lose their kids, all right, and then they lose their job, then they lose their home, and they're doing all these classes, and they have to. It's crazy. It's just I just cannot process the
It
amount
is.
of shit they have parents do, who are innocent, who actually did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely zero. There's so many people that want their story to be heard. So
Right.
many. And each and every one I speak with are, I mean, sometimes I get calls at 2:30 in the morning. I mean, it kind of like gets to me a little bit. I'm like, people, can I sleep? Can you give me an hour or two? I mean, let me sleep for 2 hours
Right.
so I can function. I don't, it's weird because some of the calls I get, I just answer.
Yeah, I know.
30 in the
Yeah.
morning, and 1:30 in the morning, and 4 o'clock in the morning, and 3:15 in the morning. And I found myself sleeping for 1 hour.
We take
1 hour.
naps. That's how we survive. Naps
Yeah.
and coffee.
Yeah, naps and coffee. Well, God, this is my third cup of coffee, and it's
Yes.
6:52 already. Right.
I know. It's because you know what? Our day started hours ago. Our
Yep.
day started early this morning at 4:30 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, because we have to filter through everything
Yeah.
and see who we can get to. Because it's the best thing about your show is that you're reaching a large demographic. And so you're not just taking one call, trying to handle one person. You're spreading awareness and you're spreading knowledge over a lot of people at one time. So this is the
Yeah.
best avenue you could have to spread this thing out, because
Yeah.
you can't take everybody's call. And especially in California, there are so many people that are in desperate need of help because they didn't know they were going to be in this situation. Like you said, all of a sudden their kids are gone. One kid, two kid, three kids, however many children you have, one allegation.
Yep.
One. And your world is turned upside down. And you find you're alone, you don't know what to do. Get a lawyer. You have to get a lawyer. That's your very first step. You better call somebody, because you don't know this system like the lawyers do. Okay. Like Vincent does, like Miss G does. We're in this. We've been working this, and we see all these cases. We have so much information that people need to have. You need to get a hold of somebody who knows. Call these numbers that you see on your screen. You have to get a hold of these people. You need help.
Oh my God. This guy, this lady, Andrea, she said, in my area, I have called and been fighting for 3 years. That
Yeah,
are not
Andrea.
letting, they are not letting her see the children.
And they don't know why.
And they don't know why. This is honestly, Art, I swear to God, I wish I was telling one of my clients, I wish I was a zillionaire. I would help the whole world. I seriously will.
Yeah.
I seriously will. And because they need help, there's other attorneys in Denver and Michigan and Massachusetts and where is it, New York? People tell me from New York that the attorneys, juvenile dependency attorneys in New York, don't want to help them because the private ones, the private practice ones,
Right.
and they said to deal with the court-appointed attorney. We're not going to help you. And one of the ladies asked, why can't we be helped? Why can't you help us? And why are you an attorney? He said, I want to keep my job.
Yeah. Man.
So he only, even though he knows juvenile law, he doesn't want to deal with juvenile law because he's afraid.
Yeah. Yeah. They know that it could, fighting the system, if you're not willing to put in the hours and the work for it, and you're getting up at 4 a.m. and you're going to bed at 11, 12 o'clock at night, and you're taking calls at 1 a.m. If you're not willing to do that, and you're just in it for your reasons or for the money,
motives,
then they're going to take themselves out of it. But people like Vincent Davis, you, Miss G, and in your producers and everybody involved in the show, and in your office, this is all you guys do.
Yep, this is all we do.
Work
we have
every single
our
day. Saturdays, Sundays. Don't call her on Sunday. Don't call her on Saturday. I'm just saying, you do. You're answering emails. I mean, I've been in contact with you early in the mornings, late into the evenings, and you're like, sorry, I couldn't get back to you. I was on a call for 45 minutes from somebody from a different state. You were just trying to talk them through the system and help them.
Right.
People need help no matter what time of day. I get calls to my office and I see them come through my personal phone. And I'm like, I can't get that. If I would take every single one of my calls, I would never have time to run the business or run what needs to be done. The situation is so many people need help, and you try your hardest to help all these people and give them direction. And you've helped who knows how many thousands of people get the best possible information and direction because they need that. You got to call right away. If you know somebody who just had their kids taken, you as somebody, a viewer, somebody who's in the system, you better start informing them and helping them. Start giving them Vincent's number. Start giving them your number. Call my office. We'll lead you to the right people. We will do the investigation. We will help you because you cannot do this on your own.
No, a lot of people think because they're good parents. And I told them, I said, get the attorney during the investigation phase. The investigation phase is the most important one because you having an attorney, a juvenile attorney, to stop them from taking your child. That's important. You don't want to have an open CPS case. You want to stop that case from being open.
Yes.
A lot of people in the investigation phase, they say, Georgette, no, we're going to be fine. We're going to be okay.
Yeah, we didn't do anything wrong. We're okay.
We didn't do anything wrong. And then they get advice of the mom. They get advice of the aunt. They get advice of their best friend. They get advice of their coworker. However, I tell people this. Are they attorneys? No. Then why are you taking advice from them?
Yeah.
Well, Miss G, I understand, but I'm going to go with my gut feeling here. I don't need an attorney.
I know. I've heard it. I've heard it.
A week later, 3 weeks later, after the social worker said, hey, we're not going to take your child. Everything is okay. They walk away. Then they come back 10 days.
Then they come right back.
Yep. And they take the child. The parents is like, wait a minute, but you told me you're not taking my child.
Yeah.
But I told them, why are you listening to them? It's like you're opening the door to demons, right? You're telling them, welcome in. And you believe every word they say.
Yeah.
I said, they're not normal humans. They're actually people that demons live in, right? It's like,
yes.
like a nest.
It seems that way, yes.
Yeah. A nest that demons live in. It's like it's a nest. That body is a nest where demons can live in because they need a nest. And I tell people that you can't trust what the social workers are saying. Some social workers say, I'm going to make a difference. No, you're not.
And they realize it. They realize within the first, we'll say so many months of what they're doing, it's not what they thought it was going to be. Some of them do leave, and then we hear about them. They come and they talk to us, and they tell us, you guys are doing an amazing job. You guys are doing a great job, but you're only making small dents. It doesn't matter. Yeah. This is what we do. This is all we do. Yeah. This is all we know. And it's not like it's going to go away by tomorrow. So you, Vincent, everybody involved in your office, me, my office, other investigators like Dave that you had on last week, we keep fighting. Yeah, we keep fighting.
And Dave is a good man. I actually had the opportunity to speak with him, and you're a good man. I mean, I'm trying my best to get people as much help as possible in other states as well. And it's hard when only a few want to help and the other ones are afraid to help, or they don't care to help, or
you can't do it all yourself, but you try.
Yeah, you try. You try the best as you can. Like with me, I try to get to everybody as much as I can, but honestly, people think I'm Superwoman. I feel like, like,
well, hey, you're super. I've seen your cape.
For your call now, like right now, and I'm like, but I'm on a call right now. Yeah, it's like, wait, just be patient.
You're one person.
I do get to them. I do. I really, honest to God, do. I just work really long hours, and some of them get mad at me when I call them late because they say, "Why are you calling me late?" I'm like, because I have 8 hours a day is not enough to get to everybody. But they get upset with me, believe it or not. But yet
they're the one that called you at 3 a.m. So you're calling them back at 7 p.m. during dinner time.
3:15 a.m. But it is what it is, and I understand.
And this, you have people that are going online right now and saying the system is broken. That's a multi-million-dollar industry, the foster system. And what's amazing to me is you mentioned to me a few weeks back that there was a judge. I'm trying to remember the story.
Oh,
Can't
yeah.
remember where, but there was a judge that actually was co-owner, part owner of a foster care facility.
Fostercare.org.
Yeah.
That's in
And
North
that it's and
Orange
I'm like,
County. Yep.
how is that, where he's literally signing orders to take children, and like you said, they don't take the broken ones. No,
Nope.
they don't.
They don't.
The broken
only
ones stay
take
in the house
the good
because
kids.
they're broken, and whatever situation it is, they'll be like, okay, don't get that one. Let's go ahead and take those ones. And they're put into a foster system that is run and owned by the judge. And so, that facility is being funded by outside money, by the government, by the feds, by whoever.
Yep.
And that's mind blowing. When you told me that a while back, I was like, that can't be right.
And
Sure
he's
enough,
the
because,
a spokesperson for that fosteror.org also.
yeah,
So basically and all the children that's stolen from the courthouse, all of them are okay. So that fosteror.org takes children who are abused and neglected. All the cases he has is abused and neglect.
right.
So he charges parents with abuse and neglect. That's where the kids go to that foster home.
It's amazing.
Right. It's like an adoption agency.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's what it is.
And it's money in and out, money in and out all
Money in
day
and out.
long, every day.
Yeah.
And, it's sad when you hear about these corruption things. It's sad when you hear about even just regular politicians. Doesn't matter whether you're Democrat, doesn't matter whether you are independent, Republican. It happens to everybody, every person. Or rather, I'll say the people that it has happened to, it doesn't distinguish whether you're Republican, Democrat, independent. If it hits you, that no longer matters. Now your kid's gone, and now you need help. And I'll keep saying it. You better get a lawyer. I see it every time. Whenever I get somebody knocking on my door or calling me, and the first thing they said is, I wish I would have found a lawyer soon. I wish I would have found an investigator soon, because we'll go out. We'll record the monitors. We'll go out. We'll look at the visitations. We'll do background checks. We'll go out and we'll look at the guardian, the foster parents. And I've done so many investigations to where I see the people who are trying to take care of your children. They're not.
Right.
They're not taking care of it.
And another thing that I would like to mention to people, when social workers push your buttons, okay, don't allow it to happen. When you deal with a narcissistic system or narcissistic people or sociopathic people, you cannot show any type of emotion on your face. You have to
get
have
upset.
a poker face. Have a poker face. Poker face, your opponent doesn't know what you have, what kind of cards you have. The same thing goes with a system like this. What they do is they push your button, using your children. Oh, you'll never see your child again. You better take one good look at them now, because you better take a picture of them now, because you'll never see them again. They tell parents this. They literally tell parents this shit.
They try to intimidate. They use any tactic.
Not try. They do intimidate.
Yeah.
And they want you to react. They want you to lose your mind.
And get upset.
So you can get arrested. Yeah. So they have a reason, more of a reason why. You shouldn't be with your kids.
Yeah, just like I said at the beginning of the show.
The judge doesn't see that as, hey, the mother is emotional because of her children.
Yeah, you just took the kids. She's going to be upset. You can't show you're upset. You can't show your frustration. No. Honestly, like you said, you have when they first show up and you're confused. Yeah. Even if they have a court order to remove those kids, even if they have police behind them to escort them into your home and take those kids, it's sad to say, but you better be calm. You better take down information, start recording, take out your cell phone, piece of paper, take down names, jot the time down, who's taking it, take a photo of that court order, start recording. Okay.
But if they say you cannot have a court order, they're lying. They're lying.
A lot of times they don't have a lot of times. Oh my gosh, I've heard and dealt with so many cases, just as you and your office have, for so many people. Well, I gave them my kids because I didn't know what to do. I was scared.
Yeah.
And the first thing I asked them is, where was your copy of the court order? Where is your court order? Did they have one? No.
Right.
And you let them in. And I don't want to come down on parents that didn't know, because they don't know. They don't know that they cannot come into your house. They cannot enter that private property. You can be polite enough to say, listen, I understand your concern, but my children are not leaving this house. And I am going to be calling a lawyer. Reschedule that CPS worker to come back. They'll say, okay, fine. I don't have a court order. That's okay. I'll be back next Wednesday. You have to take charge of that.
Don't do that, Art. Some of them don't say it's okay. Then you
I know.
can't.
I'm just saying.
With the public like that, they say we're gonna come back with the police. We're gonna come back with whatever, and the police go along with it. They just go along with it.
But you also have to understand, without that court order, and I'm just telling this in general, even with police standing right there, there hasn't been a law broken. They cannot go into your house. So be very careful, even with the court order. Like I said, and you had just mentioned it. Right. Don't show your anger. Don't show your frustration. They're going to push those buttons. They're going to come at you with attitude. And as a matter of fact kind of attitude, you have to be able to say, okay, fine. What do you do now? Get a lawyer. Call Miss G.
No.
Not at 2 o'clock in the morning, but call Miss G.
Well, yeah, of course you can call me, but just text me first and wait for me to hear from me.
Let her get back to you. That's the best thing, and she will.
You guys, because you're
She'll
not
get back
the
to
only
you.
one trying to get a hold of me. So let me share another story with you guys. In court, also what happens in court is this: the social worker would tell you during the visitations, don't deal with the ex-spouse, you deal with me. Meaning, if you want anything pertaining to the children, you go through her or him for your ex-spouse. And then when you go to court, the judge will ask you, did you call your ex-spouse to see how the kids are doing? Did you do this? Did you do that? And then you say, well, no, because the social worker told me to go through her.
No.
And not go through him. Then the judge will say something like, well, I guess you don't care about your kids that much, so custody goes to him.
It's amazing, but
that
yeah,
actually does happen. And
we see that.
Yeah, so it's really sad. Like, what? I don't care about my kids. What? And although you're following the social worker's so-called rules,
Guidance.
or guidance,
Yeah.
the social worker is not going to say that on the stand. The social worker is not going to say, "Hey, I did tell her that." They're going to deny that. So make sure that you have everything in writing.
Yes.
If the social worker wants you to do something, you tell her to do it in writing. Meaning, and I'm not giving you this as a legal advice. I'm just saying Mr. Davis always implements everything in writing.
Mm-hmm.
He always says, do not just have verbal communication with them, always make it in writing.
Yeah.
For example, you can email and say, hey, Miss So-and-so, scumbag, you addressed today that I should be going to you for AYZ, right?
Right.
Or ABD, whatever the case may be. Please confirm that I understood you correctly. Okay, so if there is anything, you can at least give that as evidence to your attorney, not the court-appointed attorney, because they're useless. We all know that. But any attorney that you hire,
they're not fighting for your interest.
Right. Someone that fights for your interest. Give them the evidence. Let them know, hey, you took the extra step. Because oftentimes social workers will set you up to fail for a reason. Like, how does that judge can see that, hey, my ex-husband who lied, stole my children to begin with, I can have communication with this idiot
Right.
about my kids.
Yeah.
And that if he doesn't respond, or if I don't, that means you don't care about your kids. How can they say that?
Very easily, unfortunately. That's what they do. That's what they say.
Exactly. Like Jacqueline said, they have foster care. What? Auctions where the kids parade around down a runway and the highest bidder gets a child. Are you kidding me, Jacqueline?
That's well, I mean, I haven't seen those kind of parades. I think she's speaking in general terms where, if you're dealing with the foster system and a foster person, man or woman, wants a specific child, that again, that's from the inside. That's the inside industry where there is a possibility where you can pick and choose whatever kid you want. Like you said, they don't want the broken kids.
Yep.
They don't want the troubled kids. They want kids they can get into the system where they'll be fostered out and adopted out, and there's money, a lot of money.
Well,
So
all
much
I
money.
know is this though: when a child does go to a foster home, and the foster parents want to adopt, and what they tell the social worker is that no, I don't want this one. Let's get another one. They kind of give them a test drive, like vehicles, which really kind
Yeah,
of
I
like
know.
what? And
I
then no,
know.
I want the other one. No, I don't want this one. I want the other one. The reason I know this is because someone I know,
Mhm.
I used to know. I don't like that person anymore because of what she stands for.
Right.
He is a foster parent. Not in California. She's out of state.
Yeah.
She wanted to adopt. That's why she became a foster parent. She can't have kids. She wanted to adopt.
Right.
So they send her so many different children, and she doesn't like eat. She doesn't like one. She's like, no, next, 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 next. So she calls me one day. She's like, fine, I finally found the one that I want to adopt. And the parents are druggies and blah, blah, blah. So I got upset. I said, well, how do you know the parents are drug users? How do you know that? Well, that's what the social worker said. Well, how do you know the social worker is not lying to you? Do you know the parents?
Right.
Well, she's a mother. The baby came from the hospital. I said, do you know how many mothers out there don't do drugs and they say that they found drugs in the system?
All the time.
All the time.
We see the reports. We see it.
So there is no. I hate it when anybody puts mothers down in front of me. I become a tiger because I know how it is to be a mom. I know the love a mother has for her kids. So don't talk down at mothers, especially if you don't know them.
Yeah.
That really pisses me off. I'm like, and she's still convinced that that child she adopted is from a drug users. Convinced 100%. And people don't understand that social workers tell you things, the foster parents that doesn't necessarily mean it's true.
Yeah. You can't really believe what they're saying. No. You can't.
No.
We're not trying to sell you, a pyramid scheme here.
No.
Those of you that are in it, you know exactly the hell you're going through. Right. Those of you that have heard the horror stories, those things are true. It's in the news. It's well known to a lot of people. Others, they're like, this can't be true. This can't be happening. We investigate these things. We've been doing this stuff for years. We know. It's horrifying.
Just to let you guys know also, we have also like social workers pretending to be victims. That happened from a guy last week. He pretended to be a father, worried about his kids, what have you. And before the call ended, he said he's a social worker. Yeah. So he gave me this sad story, and I don't know what the purpose of the call was exactly. And I realized they have so much time on their hand. No wonder they don't return parents' calls.
Yeah, they're over here messing with you, trying to see what you're really about.
With people who are trying to expose them. Yeah. And it just made me laugh. And I told him, I said, go get a life.
Get off my phone.
Go get a life. And I laughed. He didn't like me laughing. I realized I'm dealing with an idiot.
Right.
True idiot. Like, really, I don't have time for this. I have appointments to call people.
Yeah, you got legitimate people to deal with, but exactly. we both get those kind of calls.
Yeah, people are testing, right? Yeah, people are. What do you want me to say that you haven't heard on my shows already? I say anything I say on my shows, I tell people I speak with. So there's nothing really that I'm saying that's not true.
Yeah.
And the reason they're doing this is because they hate to be exposed. Again, a sociopath or a narcissist does not like to be exposed. They want to be hidden behind a mask. And that is the system that we deal with 100%. So again, I'm gonna have to end it's 1:09 now.
Aww,
so we're not I know, right? We should go 2 hours, Art.
Oh no, because listen, you just had 400 calls, 200 text messages, and about 1,000 emails in this hour and 10 minutes. So you have to go to work again.
Actually, I'm looking at my phone. I have missed 42 calls.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
42 calls I have, and 48 text messages.
And from yesterday?
A lot.
An extra 300 people to get to.
Yeah, no need to say how many, but yeah, but there's a lot of people, you guys. And I really do, and Art knows this about me, and a lot of people know this about me. I do love you guys. I really, really do. And I wanna do as much as I can to help each and every one of you guys. But you just have to be a little patient, please. Because I do have a lot of people to reach.
Yeah, she'll get to you.
I will,
Just
believe
keep
me.
fighting, and
Yeah,
if
but it's too late. Don't get mad at me. Okay,
yeah,
don't get mad. Don't
he's
take
calling you at
it with
7:30.
you. You know, don't get mad at me because I try to reach everybody. Like I said, 8 hours a day is not enough, you guys.
It's not enough. There's a lot of people that need help, and I know you're trying to do your best.
Yeah, and I just want to let you guys know that the 1 o'clock show with Fight CPS Real Talk with Miss G, Mr. Art Bustamante is going to be on there.
I'll be there.
And at the 7 p.m. show, he's also going to be on there. I'm going to have my co-host Jackie, of course, with me, and Mr. Art Bustamante, and we're going to have a guest as well. So I will see you guys at 1 and 7. I love each one of you guys, and I'm praying for all of you guys as well. And Mr. Art Bustamante, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome.
And I will see you at 1 o'clock.
We'll
And
see you
God
at
bless
1
you.
o'clock.
All
Go
right.
do your work.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Go
Bye,
eat
everyone.
something.
I know. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That part. Bye.
Bye.